Hey everybody. I am excited to share with you a really fantastic recipe. It is winter here in Sydney. Yeah, I know it doesn't look like winter because it's 22 degrees or something, but it is winter, and this is a really great winter dessert. It is a butterscotch pudding with caramel sauce from that's Monday Morning Cooking Club's most recent book, Now for Something Sweet. Let me tell you how we're going to make this. Okay. It is a recipe in two parts. The first part is to make the pudding or the cake part of it, and while that's in the oven, we've got to make a caramel sauce, a proper caramel sauce. As the cake comes out of the oven, or the pudding I should say, you pour the sauce over it and reserve a little more for serving hot with cream or ice cream. It is so good. Firstly, you will need a 6-cup dish, oven-proof dish, and I'm going to just grease it with some butter. Okay, that's done. All the ingredients are listed in the description under the video, and you'll catch on as I use them. Let's start. We're going to cream together some butter, which of course has to be at room temperature, which is squishable. Butter and brown sugar into the Mixmaster, or a handheld electric will be fine, and some brown sugar. And we're going to beat those together. I'm using the paddle or the K-beater, and I want it to be creamy and a bit fluffy. So here goes. Start off slowly because otherwise it just goes everywhere. Love actually the smell of butter and brown sugar. It just reminds me of baking days for years and years and years. I'm just going to get out my trusty spatula. Cannot live without one of these. And any time you use one of these machines, you do need to scrape it down from time to time. Yum. I don't know about you, but I love licking the bowl. So I would already start at this point, but today I'm going to hold back because you're here. Scrape it down, keep going. We want it to be a bit lighter. Just going to turn that down for a second. I'm just going to get my eggs ready while that's beating. I've got 2 eggs. Which I'm going to whisk with a bit of vanilla. And those who know me know that I just never ever measure the vanilla, which is probably a bad habit, but it's a habit nevertheless. Just going to whisk those together to make it easier to combine with the creamed butter. Okay? Okay, they're lightly beaten now. Back to this. Probably take about 5 minutes or so. I'm going to let you skip ahead in the video. The recipe calls for a pinch of salt, and I'm just going to add that now. It often says to add it with the flour and sift it together, but I find if I'm using a really fine sieve, the salt granules just don't go anywhere, so better to put them in now and give them a good mix. While I'm waiting, I might as well just sift together the flour and the baking powder. Got some self-raising flour and some baking powder, which is going to give it like a double oomph, a double rise in a way, okay? Double rising powder. Double rising power from the powder. All right, forgive me, it's late in the day. It's been a busy one. All right, that job is done, so I have everything ready to go as soon as this is light and fluffy enough. I'm going to do one more scrape down just to be sure. I'm going to also scrape down the beater because stuff gets stuck on it. Okay. So that's looking really nice and creamy, as you can see, but I'm just going to give it another couple of minutes and then we're ready for the next step. Okay, I just want to show you because it is really much lighter than it was, and you can see it's really quite lovely and smooth now. So now next step, which is to add the egg a little bit at a time. Egg, got the 2 eggs which I whisked lightly with the vanilla. And that's going to go in. Just a little bit at a time. A bit more. I'm going to give it a scrape down again, just to make sure I've got all those bits of butter that are spread all over the whole surface of the bowl. Okay. Okay, now I'm going to add the rest of the egg. Okay, done. And now I'm going to alternate, with the beater still running, the flour and baking powder and the buttermilk. So my dry and my wet. So let's put a little bit of flour and a little bit of buttermilk. Now I want it on as low as it can go. It's on the lowest setting because I don't want to beat the hell out of the flour at this point. Okay, so flour, buttermilk. As soon as it's combined, I'm going to add the next flour, buttermilk. And again, the last bit, flour, and the last bit of buttermilk. Perfect. So it's not quite mixed through because, as I said, I don't really want to overbeat that. I'm going to just scrape down this beater and I'm going to finish it with the spatula. Okay, yum. Who loves batter? Hands up. Me. All right. I don't know about you, but my kids are now in their 20s, still love licking the beater. And if I've just made a cake and one of them comes home or comes into the kitchen, they're like, where's the beater? Where's the bowl? And more often than not, I've already done it, licked it. Yeah, should have been earlier. So see what that looks like? Now I'm just going to give this a fold just to get that last bit of flour in. And I've got a lovely batter, as you can see. Okay, and now I'm going to take my greased oven-proof dish and I'm just going to put that in. And it really does rise a lot, so don't think it's not enough batter for the dish. It really is. Okay. My kids also complain about these spatulas because it takes all the batter out of the bowl, which leaves very, very little for licking. Okay. Great. I think that's it. I don't think I can get any more out. Maybe one more scrape around. Okay, there we are. Done. Now I'm just going to even that out so it's sort of the same uniform across the whole dish. It will even out as it starts to cook though. So that's it. There's a bowl and a spatula for some lucky person soon, maybe me. And this is going into the oven, 180 degrees for about 40 minutes, and I'm going to get started on the caramel sauce straight away. Okay, now the pudding is in the oven. We've got a good half an hour to make the caramel. Pretty much what I'm going to do is make a proper caramel, but with brown sugar and white sugar and water and a bit of salt. We're going to take it to 122 degrees on the sugar thermometer, which is called hard ball stage, which is what we're looking for. If you don't have a sugar thermometer, I'll show you the signs that we're looking for. Once it's at that stage, it's going to take about 10 minutes. We're going to add the butter, stir it through, and then the cream, and that makes the most outstanding caramel sauce. So let's get cooking. I've got a small saucepan because I don't think it's a very large, it's not a very big amount. We'll see how we go. And I'm putting in the brown sugar and the white sugar and the water. just going to get some more water because what happens, hold on one second, is sometimes if the crystals go up the side of the pot, you want to brush them down because the crystals forming on the side lead to crystallization, which is not what you want, and you get a grainy caramel. Okay, and some salt, a good pinch. Okay, turning this on. Now, the thing about making caramel is that you are supposed to stir it while it dissolves, but don't stir it once it's clear and simmering, okay? So I'm going to gently stir it, and I say gently because I don't want to encourage crystals up the side, okay? So I'm going to stir this. My aim is just to dissolve the sugar at this point over the heat, okay? I've got it on a medium heat. I've got my brush and my water ready, just in case I need to brush down the sides. And we're going to make a beautiful caramel. Got my butter and my cream ready to go. So there are actually 4 stages to making this caramel. The first is stirring gently to dissolve the sugars before it starts to boil or simmer. Then we're going to let it simmer without stirring till it reaches hard boil stage, which is 122 degrees on the sugar thermometer. Then we're going to add the butter. We're going to swirl it in and cook it longer and hotter till it gets about to 150 Celsius or hard crack stage. And then we're going to take it off the heat and gently add in the cream. And there's the sauce. I know it sounds complicated, but once you do it a couple times and see how easy it is, you're going to keep doing it because it is really a next level sauce. Okay, so you can see that everything's starting to dissolve, which is great. I think working with sugar and caramel is one of those things that once you do it a few times and get the hang of it, it becomes part of your repertoire. It's like pastry, it's like things with egg whites like pavlovas and meringues. It's like anything. And that's the thing that I've learned over the years of all this cooking is that if you don't know how to do something, just make it a couple of times and then you see that you can actually do it. Anything is achievable. Okay, I can't see any grains at all, so I think it's all dissolved. Okay, now I'm going to turn the heat up a bit to medium, and it's starting to get some little bubbles around the edge. And if you see that little crystals are forming, you can just take your brush like this and the water and just do that, because adding more water isn't going to do anything because it's going to evaporate anyway as it cooks. Okay. Okay, so that's going to go. It's going to take about 10 minutes. And I'm not going to put the sugar thermometer in just yet. I'm going to just wait till it starts to really get that look of a caramel. It is harder to tell when it's ready when you've got brown sugar because it's already brown, right? So you're not really going to see a change of colour. Which is why you need this. All right. Turning it down a little bit because I don't want to boil it like mad. I just want to simmer it. Okay, so we're going to put this in. It's got a little clip to clip it onto the side. And we're going to see what it goes to. And the other thing a candy thermometer is good for is deep frying, because it's really helpful if you don't have a deep fryer to try to work out the temperature of the oil. And if you've got a thermometer, you don't have to work it out. It tells you what it is. And you can keep it at 180 or whatever you need to fry your donuts or your whatever else you're frying. So what's happening is that the bubbles are getting bigger. I don't know if you can see that from here. The bubbles are getting bigger and slower in a way. As the caramel gets thicker, they're not like a quick bubble, bubble, bubble. They're like a slow bubble, bubble. Is that a good imitation of caramel? I think so. Okay, so we're now at 110 degrees Celsius. We've got another 12 degrees to go. And it is important to get it to the right stage. Just be very careful. This is really, really seriously hot. Okay, so now we are heading above 110. It's just a matter of waiting, being a little patient. No need to stir. Give it an occasional swirl if you feel like you need to do something. Okay, heading to 120. And at 122, what we are going to do is carefully, because it might spit, put in the butter. Then we're going to swirl it. All right. Waiting. You can see my cake doing very, very well, or the pudding. Can you see the pudding in the oven? It's looking good. All right, here we go. We are there, 122. I'm going to remove this. Oh, no, I'm actually not going to remove that. Forget that. I am going to pop in the butter now. I'm going to use the spoon perhaps, rather than my hand. And I'm going to swirl that. And the butter is, of course, going to melt in about 2 seconds. All right. I'm going to take this out for a second. Remember, it's very hot. Just while the butter keeps melting, I just want it to get every little last bit of sugar, of caramel. Okay, you can see it's really getting quite dark. I'm going to turn the heat down a little bit, and the bubbles are getting smaller now and more frothy. I'm going to put this back in. Remember, this is really hot. Okay. I can't stress enough how hot this is and how you have to be super careful and not get distracted like filming a video while you're making caramel. Not a good idea. Okay, here we go. Now, of course, when you put other things in, the temperature's going to drop a bit, and now we're going to wait for it to go up another 30 degrees, so to 150 or just under, which is really very hot. So here we go, and you can swirl that from time to time. I've got the cream ready to go in. The hard work's done. It's now doing all the work itself. We can just stand here and chat. So I have got my family for dinner tonight, and this is dessert. And I like to try to time doing these videos so that I can, I guess in effect kill 2 birds with 1 stone, and not only cook dinner for the family or dessert or whatever it is, but do a video as well. But it's not always so easy because things get in the way and people call you, and just isn't always as easy as it seems when I make my plan to do a cooking video on this day. But today, so far so good. Okay, we're now up to 130. The temperature is going up. I'm going to turn it down a tiny bit. It smells very, very, very caramelly. Well, okay, let's have a look how we're going. The smell is a really good indicator of if you're where you want to be with your caramel. You can finish it now, stop now at 140, 145, but keep going. Like, I want you to take it till it is just on the edge of burnt, if you can, okay? Okay, we're just about there. We're at 146, 148, 150, so that's about it. 154 is pretty much as high as you want to go here for hard crack stage, okay? So I can smell a very deep caramel. It's now at 152. Let's go to 154. That's it. I'm going to put this down on my bench. I'm going to turn the heat off. You can see it's a really, really dark colour, and I'm going to carefully add the cream. Just take care, okay? That's all I'll say. I did mean to turn the heat off. Oh, this is looking so good. Beautiful. The smell is amazing. So this caramel sauce can be made ahead and just it can sit, and you can reheat it gently when it's time to pour it on the cake. Just don't stick your finger in to taste it, please. That's all I ask of you. All right, cream's in. And there is my beautiful, beautiful dark caramel sauce. Remember, it's super hot, so it doesn't look thick yet, and as it cools, it will thicken. So because I'm going to do this for a cake that I'm not eating for a few hours, as soon as it comes out of the oven, I'm going to pour about a quarter of the sauce on it, and I'm going to set the rest of the sauce aside for reheating later. If I was going to serve it straight away, I would just pour all the sauce on and take it to the table. So there's my sauce done. Okay, and we'll come back to that when the cake is ready, probably in about 10 minutes. Best time of the day, the cake/pudding is ready. Okay, just come out of the oven, and I can feel that it's just cooked. And I'm going to pour over just a quarter of this sauce. Are you ready? Because I want it to soak in, which is exactly what it's doing. So that is it. It's sizzling, and I'm just going to let it sit there till we're ready for dessert. Yum. I do want to have a little taste. It's a bit naughty, isn't it? But I think we have to. Do we? This is it. Looks so delicious. Smells so delicious. It's unsurprisingly very hot. Got to give it a minute. Yum. Can't wait till dessert. Anyway, hope you love making this. Let me know in the comments if it's a that or a that for you. Of course it's going to be that. It's such a good dessert. See ya.